I've heard of the book, I've heard of the manga, I love the live action adaptation, Edge of Tomorrow, but how is the anime movie All You Need Is Kill? Welcome back, everybody. We are here to talk about All You Need Is Kill. If you are not aware of this movie, it is a new anime film that is in the theaters. It had a limited release, and I did go to see it. I really loved the animation for this, and I actually did a reaction to the trailer over on my other channel, Amanda McKnight Official, where I do a lot of reaction content. If you haven't checked it out, feel free to over here. Before we get into this, I want to know, what are some of your favorite anime films and what do you think makes them work? All You Need Is Kill caught my eye immediately, and that is because the animation style in this just looks so unique. And of course, it is also based on a story that I'm familiar with, that I already really loved, which was adapted into a live action feature film starring Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt, Edge of Tomorrow. And I was also intrigued because I felt that this could be a cool opportunity to watch a movie that gives me a different take, that maybe is more of a close adaptation to the book. Now, granted, I haven't read the light novel that sort of spawned all of these things, but I did go see this movie with Duck, my editor, Uptown Duck. Everyone say hello, Uptown Duck, in the comments. And Duck is a fan of the manga that is an adaptation from the book, so it was kind of cool because he hasn't seen the live action movie and I haven't read the manga, so we were able to kind of compare notes and talk about how we felt about this movie as an adaptation. And the cool thing, from what I know, from what I was told by Uptown Duck, and also from what I know from watching the live action, is that this film kind of does some things that are a bit different. And so I feel like if you are familiar with All You Need Is Kill, it's kind of cool because it's going to give you a bit of a different perspective. And they also even changed the ending, which I think some people are going to like. I liked it. And I think some people are going to feel nothing about, or they might even dislike it. But what I like about this story and what I feel like it captures, I think especially though in this adaptation, I think this adaptation really nailed this theme of the story, is the idea of how you feel when you're depressed. I feel that All You Need Is Kill from this adaptation is really a story about depression. Like, wow, really a story about depression. The idea of everything feeling meaningless, you kind of going through your day only to find out it resets. And there is a part of this film when Rita learns what's happening where after trying everything she can think of, she kind of just wants to give up. And at one point, she throws herself off a boat, kind of hoping that this will end things permanently, because death would essentially be better than having to live the same day on repeat where everything feels pointless in terms of your choices. And I think when you are feeling depressed, this idea of tomorrow arriving, of feeling like you finally made it through and things are going to be better, things are going to improve, can feel really impossible. And so I don't know if this was an intentional theme of the story, but it is something that I felt was really highlighted here, that I really tapped into here. And maybe it's because lately I've also been kind of experiencing some of the ups and downs of seasonal depression and dealing with that myself. But I felt that this movie did a really beautiful job of summing up what that feels like and how we can get stuck when we feel like there is no way to move forward. So I love everything they talk about this idea of wanting to see tomorrow and working towards getting to tomorrow. And I also really love the bond between Rita and Keiji as we get to know both of them. I love their relationship and getting to watch it blossom and grow. And I love how they call each other out on the difficult things about one another. They call each other out on their flaws. And not only that, but it's in a way to try to push the other person to move past their own barriers, to evolve. And it's not in a way that's even judgmental when they do it. It's really beautiful because there is a sense of, for Rita is very stubborn and headstrong, and she doesn't let people in very well. She isn't very optimistic. She's skeptical. Whereas Keiji is very optimistic He tries to bring a lightness to everything. He laughs things off because it's the way that he has dealt with his own trauma and moved forward in life. And so they're these kind of foils for each other in a beautiful way. And even though they call each other out on the fact that they do things that are not necessarily positive, that are considered to be flaws in who they are, they love each other for those things anyways. There is a sense of acceptance there that I think is really beautiful. And so they were a highlight of the film for me for sure, in their relationship and finding one another and fighting this thing together. Something that I feel is not really poorly done in the film, but is just, I think, a bit of an issue if you're familiar with the story, is that there are a lot of montages in this story. And while I thought they did some cool changes to the design, at least from the manga perspective and even from the live action adaptation perspective, is that they do make these little tweaks to some of the character designs that also pull you in because it feels quite dynamic in the way that they approach it. And I felt everything looked great. The only thing is that because I'm familiar with the story, I have seen where it leads. And so while there are all these montages that are filled with cool designs and cool art and great action, it wasn't really super surprising to me because I already know the way the story is going to go, and it went pretty much the way I expected. And it does feel that it moves a little quickly. Like, I think there could be more time spent in some of these beats. But what I like about the movie is that it doesn't feel like it overstays its welcome at all. And even though it has a lot of montages, the montages feel pretty tight. But there are a lot of montages, and if you are familiar with the story, that's kind of just the way the story has to go. I like a good montage, but I do feel that sometimes they can just take away a little bit from the impact of the film, I guess. And here, I don't know if they took away super deeply from the impact, but I wanted more moments that felt grounded with Rita and Keiji, just because I really enjoy both of them. And those were the highlights for me of the film, not necessarily the montages and the action, but actually more of them coming together and trying to problem solve this together and bonding and having these conversations with one another about who they are, why they are the way they are, and why it's important for them to get through this, what they are working towards as friends. It's a beautiful story, but if you've seen it, it's just a bit predictable. So I would say if you've never seen All You Need Is Kill in any form, this movie will probably be even better for you. But for me, it was just good. I think overall, I would give it, I'm not really doing overall ratings anymore, but if I had to say, I'd say for me this one's around like maybe 3.5, maybe 4. It's pretty good. I don't really have a lot of complaints with it. It just isn't as memorable as some other movies are. And I think Edge of Tomorrow actually might be more memorable than this animated version of the story. But that's just my opinion. That being said, I do think there are some really striking visuals in this. And if you love cool animation and vivid colors, there is a lot to like here. But that being said, in terms of anime movies that I've seen recently, it is no Chainsaw Man Reze arc, which I saw a few months ago and I absolutely loved. I was very into that movie. That being said, I do kind of want to do a cosplay with the Duck and I think it would be super cute. I feel like Duck could be Keiji and I could be Rita, and it would be a really cute cosplay. So let me know what you think of that idea. I don't know how we do these suits though. That might be tricky. That's all I have for this one. Let me know your thoughts on this film down in the comments below. I want to know how you feel about this adaptation and how you feel about this as an anime movie as well. If you've seen it or if you've just been hearing about it, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below and let us discuss. I'll see you down there, and until next time, friends, as always, stay nerdy. Bye! And if you like hearing me talk about anime or manga, you need to check this out. I'm obsessed.